Hi guys and gals, welcome back to another video on the channel, specifically about Darktable, and it's a bit of a follow-up from the previous Darktable video I did about exporting. And in that particular video, when we were talking about exporting, we were talking about this the export options down here, and I did mention this store masks, which was by default set to no, and I was saying that I couldn't actually get this to work if I changed it to yes, basically because the TIFF that I was exporting, I was trying to open in Photoshop, and yes, it had opened, but I couldn't see any masks that I'd made. And I asked a question over on the Darktable forum, over on the pixels.us website, and a top geezer called Danny came up with a solution. Yes, he did. And so I'm going to show you how to export a mask out of alongside your image. In case you want to use or reuse that mask to do a different task inside a raster image processor such as Gimp or indeed Photoshop, and that goes for I would imagine pretty much any old version of Photoshop. So let's crack on. So I'm going to take this image over into the darkroom, and here it is, and it's a juvenile herring gull flying nicely along, minding his own business, and the background, bokeh's not too bad, but the background is a heavily forested granite cliff face, for want of a better description. And, tis what it is. I'm always saying that, aren't I? I ought to stop, but, tis what it is, isn't it? We've got a bit of noise in the background. The bird's not exactly as sharp as he could be, but, we'll go and add a little bit of sharpening to him. And I suppose the quickest way for me to do this will be to try and treat the background separately from the subject, and this is something I've been doing quite a lot of videos for my Patreon members on, mostly inside of Lightroom and Photoshop. So, trying to get this to work in raw therapy can be quite tedious because, of course, we haven't got any AI-driven subject selection tools. But even things like Lightroom, which have AI subject selection tools in them, they're not flawless. No, they're not. And still, within an Adobe workflow, the most effective way of separating one thing from everything else is with the pen tool inside of Photoshop. And funnily enough, then we've got an equivalent to the pen tool in Photoshop inside Darktable, and it is the path tool. Okay, so I'm going to come out to a fit to screen view, and I've already made a path selection around this herring gull, and there it is. And if I click or move the cursor inside the selection, and I'll warn you now, when you do this, if you sort of play around or move your scroll wheel on your mouse or anything, you are going to distort this, and I can't find a way of sort of locking it in place. Todd, if you're watching and you know a way of locking this selection in place, please let me know, or anybody else. Come to that. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. We've got this complex path selection, and you might want to even though we're going to do adjustments to this image using this path selection inside of Darktable, you might actually want to send this complex path out with the image to a raster image processor such as Gimp or Photoshop, and then reuse that selection inside the raster image processor, because there are things you can do a lot easier inside a raster image processor than you can do inside a raw developer. So anyway, let's crack on, because that is precisely what we're going to do. So we've got this path, but first of all we want to use or deploy this path inside of Darktable. And again, I mean, if I hover off the path, I can now use my scroll wheel to zoom, and you can see the path in there, hundreds of dots, just dot, 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 with the pen tool, or the path tool if you like, with the feathering set right down to its absolute minimum, yeah? And so there we go. Now, what is it we want to do? We want to add a little bit of sharpening to the bird, because the bird's got absolutely no sharpening on. Don't forget, Darktable has no capture sharpening on it like raw therapy does. So, there you go. And so it looks really very unsharp. And so what we're going to do is sharpen the bird a little bit, and also take down the noise in the out of focus background, because noise shows more in low frequency detail, vis-a-vis this, than it does in high frequency detail, vis-a-vis this. You see, in here it doesn't look anywhere as noisy as it does out there. Alright, and just for simplicity and ease of demonstration, and of course demonstrating a little bit the multiple module power of Darktable, we're going to do both operations separately, treating the bird completely differently from the background, using two iterations of the same module and two variants of this path. Okay, right, so we are going to, where the bloody hell is it? There we go, diffuse and sharpen. So we're going to activate diffuse and sharpen, and we are going to just go to one of the presets, and we're going to go to surface blur. And so we've applied surface blur across the entirety of the image, just using this limited surface blur preset. But you see, we've dropped all the noise out of the background, but of course we've surface blurred the bird as well. So all we are going to do is scroll down and just click on either drawn masks or drawn and parametric. I always go drawn and parametric no matter what I'm doing, because fundamentally it's closest to the bloody scroll bar. And all we're going to do is come to where it says no mask used, and we're going to click, and we're going to see bird path, because it's an existing shape. Okay, and so we'll click bird path. But of course bird path is the wrong way round, because it's a selection of the bird. So all we need to do is to come here to toggle polarity of drawn mask. Yes, and there we go. Turn the mask visibility off, and Bob's your uncle. We've got all that surface blur on the background, but none of it on the bird. Wonderful. So we're going to scroll back up. That is that first diffuse and sharpen done. What we're going to do now is click on new instance. Okie dokie. And we are going to just very simply come to a preset, and let's go sharpen demosaic in AA filter. Alright, and you can see we've now put some sharpening on the bird. But of course we've added some sharpness to the background as well, because it's gone all across the image, and that's sort of a little bit counterintuitive to the operation we did previously with the other or the first iteration of diffuse and sharpen. So all we are going to do is to scroll down and come to drawn or parametric masks, no mask used, and we're just going to go bird path. So there you go. So if I just scroll down a tad more and go and click on there to actually hide the visibility of the path, and we scroll up and collapse diffuse and sharpen 1, you can see that if I turn these two off like that, there's our original image, unsharp bird, diffuse and sharpen, number 1, that's add sharpness to the bird, but it's not taken up the sharpness of the noise. And if we turn on previous one, there we go, now we've got no noise in the background either. So we've achieved our target just using this path tool, even though it did take me nearly an hour to produce. So it is quite tedious, but then again, so's the pen tool in Photoshop. So what are we going to do? We are going to come out to a fit screen view, and we are going to come over to light table, and so there is our image. Now if we come down to export, and here we go, so we've got store masks set to yes, okay, and all we are going to do is to, when I click export, it's going to export a 16-bit unsigned integer TIFF with no compression into a subfolder called Darktable exported, a subfolder within the parent folder where the original raw file resides. But because we've got store masks set to yes, we'll click export, wait for the little confirmation prompt across the bottom, and then all I'll do is I will bring up my Finder, and there is Darktable exported, and lo and behold, here is the TIFF. Right, okay, so I'm going to now right click and go open with, and I'm going to open this with Gimp. This is going to be the one and only time you ever see me open anything in Gimp on this channel. Yeah? Oh dear. It scares me to death, Gimp does. But, well, here we go. So, I am going to open with Gimp, and straight away I'm greeted with this, import from TIFF. God, open pages, layers, yeah, whatever. I just don't understand this at all. We'll click import, and then we'll get something else up here that says, oh, the image blah 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 has been as an embedded color space of Pro Photo. Convert the image to built-in sRGB program. No, I want to keep it. Yeah, so we'll click keep, and there you go. So if we turn off those two, we can see there's our image. Colour-wise, it doesn't look quite the same as it did before, which is another reason I just loathe and detest opening Gimp. But, well, there you go. But here are the two masks we used. That's the mask as we deployed it for the surface blur on the background of the image. And there is the mask which we used to deploy the sharpening with AA filter preset just on the bird and not the background. Now, I take it anybody who's familiar with how Gimp works knows how to use either one of these as a selection, and so you could go on and do further manipulation of, say, the background with a Gaussian blur or whatever, which is the same sort of thing as you might want to do inside of Photoshop, but I just haven't got the clue how to get to first base on that operation in Gimp. So I'm sad to say, quit Gimp, and discard changes, and thank Christ for that. Right, now then, here comes the problem where I was at when I made that last video. If I right click and go open with any version of Photoshop that I've got on my system, because all versions of Photoshop can understand a TIFF, right, so we can't see anything there. We can't see anything there out of the ordinary or extra, and we can't see anything in there, so we have not got access to that complex bird selection path that we made over in Darktable, which, seeing as it took an awful lot of time, that was a very big disappointment. So I'm just going to temporarily quit Photoshop and wait for it to bog off, and thanks to Danny, big shout out to Danny over on the Darktable forum over on pixels.us. Top geezer, Danny, top geezer for this. I'm going to do what Danny told me to do, which is right click on that TIFF and open with another piece of FOSS software, which I hinted at being rather useful to you for learning how stuff works, Critter. And I did that in a video quite a while ago on colour spaces and gamma. So we're going to open this image with Critter. Yes, we are. And, there we go. And lo and behold, it can read these masks, which it refers to as paint layers. Okay? Now, all we've got to do is just fundamentally leave it as it is. Don't do a single thing. Just leave the image open as it is by default in Critter, and then go to File and go to Save As. And this is the little trick that Danny taught me. Yeah, if we switch it from TIFF to Photoshop PSD, and let it be saved inside the same folder as the original Darktable export, and click Save, and just ignore this and click OK, and just wait for it, and there it is. You can see it's shown up in my Finder. So it's now time to close down Critter and come to that PSD, right click, open with. And again, I suspect, I've got no reason to suspect anything to the contrary. This will work with whatever version of Photoshop you might have on your system. And so we will choose my version of Photoshop, which is Photoshop 2024. And lo and behold, there we go. And it's over in the layers. But if I come to channels, and seeing as all the channels are visualized in exactly the same way, I can just go and duplicate the blue channel, but it just could easily be the green or the red channel. Come back, click on the composite RGB channel, come back to layers. Paint layer 2 and paint layer 1 I no longer need, so I can select them both. Drag them down to the trash can, and there is my image. And so I can go to select, load selection, and I can change that to blue copy, click OK, and there's my selection back. And if I wanted to do something to the bird, I could do it within that selection, using that selection as a mask on an adjustment layer, or indeed I could go Shift Command I, and then I could use that as a selection or a mask on a adjustment layer, and I could go and do stuff to the background independent of the subject. So there you go. Is it something you're going to use in your Darktable to Gimp or Darktable to Photoshop workflow? I don't know, but that's how to do it. Now, I'll add a rider, a caveat. My version of Darktable as an installation on my system will not allow me to export parametric masks and it will not allow me to export the parametric components of parametric and drawn mask combos. I've tried and tried and tried, and I can't work out how to do it. I don't know if Darktable as a whole on Linux, Windows, and Mac just precludes you from exporting the parametric masks or parametric components of drawn and parametric masks. I don't know, because we've only got one machine in the house. And so there you go. But if it is possible to export parametric masks, please let me know how you do it. All right. Anyway, big shout out, big thumbs up to Danny off the Darktable forum over on pixels.us for sending me that little tip over Critter, which I've now passed on to you guys. And should you find any use or desire for doing that, and if you've just spent an hour and a half creating a complex mask, makes sense to export it to your raster image processor if you're going to do any further work to the image. Okay, guys, hope that's proved useful and ever so slightly interesting to you. If it has, give it a thumbs up. Leave a nice comment below. Todd, if you're watching this video and you've got any comments and feedback, always gratefully receive, my friend. And so there you go. Until the next time, guys and gals, stay safe, stay well, keep taking the pictures, and I definitely will speak to you very soon, as they say. Tooroo.